Hello and welcome to the program UFO Warning. In this episode we're talking about fighter pilot reports Jellyfish UFO. That's correct. Fighter pilot reports Jellyfish UFO. Now they're calling this a jellyfish drone. I'm not saying this thing is a drone, but we'll take a look at it. I went through a bunch of articles and I asked AI to help me with it a little bit. It says detailed summary. Downed U.S. pilot's jellyfish drone encounter over Iran. Several news organizations, including ABC News 4, Ynet, Bro Bible, The Daily Mail Express, and others, have reported on an extraordinary claim made by a U.S. fighter pilot who was shot down over Iran earlier this year. According to the reports, the pilot described seeing a swarm of objects moving in a bizarre jellyfish-like formation moments before his aircraft was downed. The account has sparked debate over whether the objects represented a new generation of Iranian drone technology or something even more mysterious. Now, I've even heard these things had like tentacles hanging down behind them, or below them, reminiscent of the Jeremy Corbell video that was released here, I don't know, a year or two ago, of this jellyfish UFO / drone flying over Iraq. There's also some question here as to whether these things were involved in the shoot down of that pilot, and if even they may themselves have shot him down. Remember, this was the pilot. There were two of them, I believe. One escaped right away, and the other one was lost in the hill country there in Iran. They came out later and said that they were able to track him down with some sort of high-tech tracking device that could hear his heart murmur. It's weird stuff there. Anyway, the sad part of that story is that there was an insider in the Pentagon, I can't think of the person's name, that had leaked the information to the press, and they were quite concerned that those villagers may have paid the ultimate price for helping that U.S. pilot. A tough situation all the way around. Goes on, it says the shoot down. According to multiple reports, a U.S. Air Force F-15E Strike Eagle operating over Iran in April 2026 was shot down, marking one of the most dramatic incidents of the recent U.S.-Iran conflict. The aircraft carried two crew members, the pilot, and a weapons systems officer, that's called the WSO. The pilot ejected and was recovered relatively quickly. The WSO reportedly spent more than 36 hours evading Iranian forces in mountainous terrain before being rescued in a complex special operations mission involving American intelligence assets and special forces. And that's the person that was reportedly found using this heart murmur, where they claim that they can track an individual's heart murmur sound, I guess, from miles away. I don't know. Never did quite get the whole thing on that. The jellyfish encounter. During intelligence debriefings, the pilot reportedly described seeing multiple airborne objects hovering and moving together, a formation resembling a giant jellyfish, objects that appeared to move in a coordinated, almost organic manner. One source quoted the pilot as saying, "real alien expletive." The pilot reportedly said the object behaved unlike any drones he had previously encountered. Intelligence officials considered the descriptions unusual enough to warrant further analysis. We've talked about these flocks of UFOs almost acting like a bird flock or a school of fish or something. And when this pilot says they were acting organically, I can totally understand that. Why the description matters. The jellyfish description immediately drew attention because it echoes several recent military UFO reports in which service members described strange aerial phenomena exhibiting coordinated movement, unusual shapes, apparent intelligence, and flight characteristics difficult to identify. However, no evidence has been presented suggesting the pilot believed he had seen extraterrestrial craft. The phrase "real alien expletive" appears to have been an expression of shock rather than a literal claim of aliens. Now, I guess that's a way to soft sell this stuff and try to shape the narrative on this, huh? Intelligence assessment, probably advanced drones. Okay. Military and drone experts interviewed by various publications believe the objects were likely a highly advanced drone swarm. Don't you think that if the Iranians had this kind of advanced technology that they'd be able to defend their skies a little bit better? I just don't get it. This concept has already been demonstrated in Ukraine, Russia, China, and NATO experiments. No, we've had this thing going on with Russia now for what, 2 or 3 years, slugging it out over there. I don't see either one of these guys having super high-powered and highly intelligent drones that could go in and end this thing. The kind of technology this pilot's talking about, that's the kind of technology that ends a war overnight. Kind of like when we ended the war, when the U.S. rather ended the war with Japan by bombing Nagasaki and Hiroshima. It was devastating, terrible technology that the world had never seen before. And when you introduce something like that into a war theater, it has immediate results. These things represent such a leap in technology that if another side had them and was applying them to the battlefield in full force, the war would be over already. For whoever had the technology would win immediately, just like with the U.S. When we discovered the technology of the atomic bomb and applied that in the war theater, we won immediately. It's simple. It says such systems allow reconnaissance, electronic warfare, coordinated attacks, and long-range targeting. Well, what seems to me to be going on here is none of that. These drone swarms are talking about, this alien stuff. It seems more like they're just observing. The drones may have been operating through a decentralized communication system in a mesh network. Okay, they're operating in a decentralized system while the Iranian government and IRGC is hiding in caves. Okay. Each drone communicates with the others. No single drone controls the formation. The swarm can reconfigure itself if units are lost. This makes the swarm more survivable, harder to jam, and more difficult to destroy. Autonomous swarm AI. Military planners have increasingly warned about autonomous drone swarms. Such systems can coordinate attacks, share sensor data, change formations, overwhelm traditional air defenses. Several nations are developing these capabilities, including Iran, China, Russia, and the United States. I would just say again, there's a big difference between developing something and having it. And if they had it, and if you introduced something this advanced into the battle theater, you would immediately win. The same way we won when we introduced atomic bombs to Japan. You decimated a couple cities, war's over. Could Iran actually possess this technology? Many analysts believe the answer is yes. Iran has spent years investing heavily in low-cost drones, loitering munitions, electronic warfare, asymmetric warfare technologies. Iranian drones have been used by Iranian military forces, proxy militias, Russian forces in Ukraine. The country's drone program has grown into one of the largest and most sophisticated in the Middle East. Well, they bought a lot of drones with the money that they got a couple of administrations ago. But I really don't think that they're inventing these things here. I mean, from what I can see, the country's in a stone age. You have Tehran, the capital city, is almost out of water. So I cannot understand how a country that is currently managed by the people that manage it, which aren't really the people there, but it's a technological desert. So how are we to believe that they've got all this super over-the-top stuff? And if they had it, why aren't they using it effectively? Why drone swarms are so dangerous? Military experts increasingly argue that drones represent one of the greatest threats facing modern air forces. A swarm can saturate air defenses. A fighter may struggle to engage dozens of small targets, conduct electronic attacks. The drones could jam sensors or communications. Some drones may simply distract the pilot while others attack. This swarm may feed information to missile barriers or other aircraft. Senior U.S. military leaders have recently warned that America's air defense modernization efforts are struggling to keep pace with rapidly evolving drone threats. I feel like here they're trying to control the narrative. They're trying to shape the narrative, because as scary as it is to think that some foreign adversary would have these swarms of drones that could completely overwhelm our air defenses, it's even more scary to think that some extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional force could be doing the same thing, only on a grander scale. Was the swarm responsible for the shoot down? It says, this remains unclear. Now, this is kind of the scary part. Whatever this guy saw, what he described as alien expletive, let's just say alien stuff, did it shoot him down? Well, we don't know. Maybe. So you've got these drones that are, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 feet across. What, do they have 50 cals on those things? Are they able to line up the sights on a fighter jet aircraft going 500, 600 mile an hour or faster and take them down? I'd really like to know. The reports do not establish that the drones directly destroyed the F-15. Possible scenarios include the drones attacked the aircraft, they distracted the crew, they provided targeting information, they were merely observed before another weapon system brought down the fighter. No official U.S. report has publicly explained exactly how the aircraft was lost. Here's the thing. You're telling me that you have technology that's so sophisticated, it could track down the weapons officer, it could track down their heart murmur, but you can't tell me how the plane was shot down, even if it was shot down. That's concerning. Comparisons to previous jellyfish UFO reports. The term jellyfish has appeared repeatedly in UFO discussions over the past several years because witnesses often describe a bulbous upper section, hanging appendages, unusual movement, and apparent shape changes. However, in this case, there is no publicly available evidence connecting the pilot sighting to any unidentified anomalous UAP. The current reporting overwhelmingly points toward advanced drone technology rather than extraterrestrial craft. Well, yes, if I guess that's your opinion, but if I take the pilot at its word, I come up with something else. The bigger picture. The story may ultimately be significant not because it suggests aliens, but because it could reveal a major shift in modern warfare. If the reports are accurate, they indicate that Iran may possess sophisticated drone swarm capabilities. Future air combat could involve autonomous swarms. Traditional fighter aircraft face increasing vulnerability to cheap network drones, and the era of mass drone warfare is arriving faster than any military planners anticipated. Well, the problem with that is this plane was shot down in April. Here we are in June. There's been multiple sorties run over Iran since then by the U.S. and the Israelis, and it hasn't happened again. Bottom line, the evidence currently available suggests the pilot likely encountered a highly unusual and possibly advanced Iranian drone swarm rather than an extraterrestrial phenomena. Nevertheless, the incident has alarmed intelligence officials because the described behavior, coordinated jellyfish-like movement by numerous drones, may represent a significant leap in Iranian unmanned warfare capability and a warning about the future of aerial combat. Yeah, I'm not seeing it that way. I think this guy saw something, and who knows, maybe it just shut his plane down. I mean, they come across this alien-looking stuff, and the plane goes down. We don't know how this plane was shot down. We don't have the wreckage of the airplane. We don't seem to have any kind of documentation of where a ground-to-air missile came. They can't even tell us if this thing was shot down from something from the ground or if it was something from the air shot it down. I mean, some crazy stuff. I did want to go a little bit further in this, what this U.S. Air Force F-15E Strike Eagle is. It's a monster of a plane. You know, we're not talking about a Cessna or an ultralight here getting shot down by these drones. So I went ahead a little further AI. It says the U.S. Air Force F-15E Strike Eagle. Man, this thing is beautiful. I mean, what a killer. The F-15E Strike Eagle is one of the U.S. Air Force's most capable and combat-proven multi-role fighter aircraft. It was designed to perform two primary missions. One, air superiority, shooting down enemy aircraft. Two, deep strike missions, attacking targets hundreds of miles behind enemy lines. Unlike stealth aircraft such as the F-35, the F-15 relies on its speed, payload, advanced sensors, and electronic warfare systems to survive in combat, it remains one of the Air Force's premier strike aircraft more than 35 years after entering service. So this isn't, I mean, this thing's not, it's not a joke. It's designed to shoot down other aircraft. It's been around for 35 years. It's a proven weapons platform. And we're to believe that Iran, of all places, has a drone that can just shoot these things down at will? The Strike Eagle is derived from the original McDonnell Douglas F-15E Eagle, which first entered service in the 1970s as a pure air superiority fighter. During the late Cold War, the Air Force wanted a replacement for the aging General Dynamics F-111 aardvark. The result was the F-15E Strike Eagle, which first flew in 1986 and entered operational service in 1989. The F-15E has a crew of 2. Pilot flies the aircraft and can employ weapons. Weapons Systems Officer, WSO, sits in the rear cockpit and manages sensors, navigation, targeting, and weapons systems. This 2-person crew is one of the reasons the Strike Eagle excels during long, complicated combat missions. Says it's 63.8 feet long. That's big. Wingspan is 42.8 feet. Its height is 18.5 feet. Empty, it weighs 31,700 pounds. Maximum takeoff weight, 81,000 pounds. Folks, that's as much as a fully loaded semi-truck. Truck and trailer. 81,000 pounds. Blasting this thing at over the speed of sound. Engines, 2 Pratt & Whitney F100 PW229 turbofans. Thrust, 29,000 pounds each with afterburner. Top speed, Mach 2.5, which is 1,650 miles per hour. Man. Combat radius, approximately 790 miles. Ferry range, more than 3,500 miles. So in other words, if you're up there tracking down other airplanes, bombing stuff, I mean, really trying to take things out, 800 miles. But if you're just trying to get from point A to point B, you could fly clear across to the United States, 3,500 miles. Maximum G load, 9 Gs. Unreal. This is a machine, my friend. Why it's so powerful? The F-15E is often called a bomb truck with fighter performance. It can carry approximately 23,000 pounds of weapons. Think about that, 23,000 pounds. More payload than many strategic bombers from previous eras. The aircraft can carry air-to-air weapons, AIM-120 AMRAAM, AIM-9 Sidewinder, air-to-air ground weapons, the GBU-31 Joint Direct Attack Munition, the AGM-158 JSAM, the GBU-39 Small Diameter Bomb, and the AGM-65 Maverick. It has an internal gun, an M61 Vulcan 20mm cannon, up to 6,000 rounds per minute. Tells us that the F-15 is essentially a supersonic flying weapons platform, a fighter capable of carrying enormous amounts of precision ordnance while still being fast enough and agile enough to fight enemy aircraft. Despite being a design from the 1980s, it remains one of the most dangerous and versatile combat aircraft in the world. Unreal. If you ask how much this thing costs, I'll tell you that the U.S. Air Force official fact sheet lists the F-15's unit cost at $31.1 million. Now, that was 35 years ago. It says adjusted for inflation, that would be $62 to $65 million per airplane. And the replacement cost is somewhere between $80 and $108 million per aircraft if you had to build one today from scratch. Now, we're to believe that the Iranians were able to set up a flock of drones that either took this thing down, made the pilot so confused they ejected, or aided in the shooting down of this aircraft, which would cost $108 million possibly to build today. I'm not believing it, folks. There's something weird going on here with this Jellyfish UFO sighting, they're calling it. And I feel like they're really trying to form the narrative because they're saying things like, well, the whole group of these drones moved in a jellyfish formation. That's not what's going on here, I don't think. if you describe the movement of something, you would describe that as a flock of birds, maybe a school of fish. You wouldn't describe that as a jellyfish. What you describe as a jellyfish is that thing that Jeremy Corbell showed us, that blob thing with these tentacles hanging down from it, moving over the base there, and what I think was in Iraq. That's what you describe as a jellyfish UFO. So what I'm seeing happen here right now is this story gets out because apparently somebody's leaked a comment that this pilot has said, and so they're doing damage control right now. Major damage control. I want to finish up with a quick look back at this sighting of this jellyfish UFO that Corbell talked about. So this article is from News Nation. They do a lot of UFO stuff over there. And the date on this is January 22nd, 2024. So what, 2.5 years ago about? It says Pentagon jellyfish UAP response raises questions. Corbell said the object was officially designated a UAP by the Pentagon. The Pentagon responded, issuing a statement saying no comment. News Nation has not independently verified the video footage. Of course, most of us have seen it by now. It's all over YouTube. It says, a newly surfaced video of an alleged unidentified anomalous phenomena resembling a jellyfish has skywatchers, pilots, and experts wondering what it is. The buzz was so big, the Pentagon responded, issuing a statement saying no comment and that it wouldn't verify the video's authenticity. The Pentagon's response, or lack thereof, has only fueled further speculation. The video in question was released by investigative journalist Jeremy Corbell, a prominent figure in the UFO community known for his work and investigations into UAPs. Corbell says military pilots shot the footage over a U.S. joint operations base in Iraq around 2018. According to Corbell, the object was officially designated a UAP by the Pentagon, and the footage was taken with thermographic forward-looking infrared radar. In a statement, Department of Defense spokesman Sue Goff stated, "We do not comment on the authenticity of alleged DoD material that may have been leaked." Despite this, she emphasized the DoD's commitment to openness and accountability while balancing the necessity to protect sensitive information, leaving some to wonder about the apparent contradiction. Just for your reference, I did try to see if that Sue Goff was still working for the DoD. It seems to have kind of fallen off the map, so I don't know what happened with her, but we used to see her name come up every single time one of these UFO stories would pop up. There she'd be disclaiming it. Hopefully we've moved on since then. This would have been back in January 2024, just about the exact same time that the Trump administration took over. It says, despite this, she emphasized the DOT's commitment to openness and accountability while balancing the necessity to protect sensitive information, leaving some to wonder about the apparent contradiction. Corbell said the DOT has not debunked the video because it is likely on the verge of confirming its authenticity. The reason why they're not at this point able to deny it is because absolutely they're going to have to confirm it, he said. Corbell emphasized his and journalist George Knapp's 3.5-year effort to develop sources and verify leaked material. "We have done our due diligence and our DOD will be put in the corner," he said. "They have to be honest with the American public on this video." And then it goes on, talks a little bit about Bob Lazar. It is a cool video. I don't think that it's been properly debunked. I do think it's something either very, very high-tech or something extraterrestrial. And I lean toward the extraterrestrial end of it here. Unexplainable. And it seems to be the exact same kind of thing this pilot saw just before their plane was shot down. And we still haven't got the official report on this plane shoot down, so we still don't know exactly what happened. But we know that a pilot saw something that they're describing as this organic acting swarm of drones, describing it as jellyfish. Now, I don't know why you would describe the movement of a group of drones as jellyfish-like when it's much more like a school of fish or a flock of birds. To me, they're talking about the individual craft within this formation, these dangling tentacles coming down below the craft, which is exactly what we saw in the Corbell video. And we have to ask ourselves, is this one of the first times that one of these UFOs has actually shot down an American fighter plane? Were they there just to observe? Or were they there because, like a lot of us think, these things are there to absorb the emotion of trauma that's often there at the battlefield? Either way, a lot more questions than answers. We'll keep on this. If you like the program, don't forget to hit like, follow, subscribe. As always, thank you very much to the people that support the program financially. It really helps. Until next time, this is UFO Warning, over and out.